people have been asking, what then is the way forward? Enough of all of this analysis and discussion. What is the way forward? But let me say this first, that before you can decide a way forward, you have to know very clearly what you are looking for a solution to. Is the solution about restive youth? Is that what you're looking for a solution for? Or are you looking for a solution for the real grievance in the Niger Delta? If you remember, we said some of the agitation has been because of real grievance. Some of the agitation has been because of greed. Some of the agitation has been pure criminality. So which one are we looking for a solution to? Because a very simple solution is the amnesty question. Just dash everybody money. Give Tompolo $100 million contract for pipeline surveillance. And during my tenure as president, then we're not really having any more problems from the Niger Delta, because he will share some with the boys and everything. But as I mentioned, you're fueling a conflict economy. Therefore, you're telling people that if you kidnap and you get a ransom for it, you think you won't do it again, you will go and look for a much better target the next time. So it continues to ratchet up. Therefore, what are the real root causes of the problem in the Niger Delta? One of it, or maybe it's still a symptom, but one of the things to consider definitely is land use. Because in Nigeria, once you find a mineral on your land, like oil, then the land no longer belongs to you, it belongs to the federal government. That law seems to support the thinking of a federal elite who actually own the national cake. Those who have access to the national cake are the ones that kind of law benefits, instead of the person who found the mineral on his land being the owner. So all land belongs to the federal government, all land. That's number one thing to consider towards coming towards a solution. The second thing to consider is that while there was groundnuts in the north and you had cocoa in the southwest, first, they refused to give the Niger Delta its own region. So when the oil came out, they could not claim any derivation. So even at the time where other regions enjoyed like 50% derivation, with the rest going to the central purse, they were not able to enjoy that derivation. Now, some people have said, if you give the money to the Niger Delta, they'll simply steal it. All the governors, they're all thieves, they are crooks. Isn't that the same argument when money is stolen from Nigeria through corruption, ends up in the UK or the US or some other country, and then that country says, well, by the way, it ended up with us, but you show to us that you will not resteal it, and it cannot be restolen before we can send you that money back. It's the same kind of argument, and no Nigerian will accept that. That why should you, a receiver of stolen goods, be the one to tell me that, well, because you could not keep your gates well, that's why the money ended up in my country, so therefore, show me that you can protect your borders well, then I will give you back the stolen goods that are now in my possession. There is a logic, of course, to say because of poor governance and because of our weak democratic institutions, it's very difficult for citizens to hold elected or non-elected public officials to account. There's something to be said for that as well, but you have to balance these two things in looking for a solution. Then others will also complain that, well, until you build up the education of the people there, or maybe you could change it entirely and say it's about service delivery. If we improved delivery of services, health, education, and everything else that the people of the Niger Delta need, will there still be as much of an agitation? These are some of the issues that need to be considered before we can make a pronouncement on what are we proposing as the way forward in the Niger Delta.